So the airlines don't put up with a lot. I think that's what you saw. I think United handled it terribly. I think the crew that came in and pulled the man off the plane handled it terribly. You know, everybody has a camera on them these days, so it's just ripe for social media. It could have been handled in a very, very different way and had a much more positive outcome. This event could have played out differently if United would have gone a little higher with its compensation, I think. From what I saw when I was traveling this weekend, passengers are not so willing to take $800 or $1,000. When you get up to the maximum, which is $1,350, passengers are a little more willing to take that. I think they should have gone higher. I think that even though they followed the rules and did what they're supposed to do, and they can randomly choose people to get off the plane, they should have had a little more compassion when this guy said it was really presenting a terrible problem for him. They should have listened and maybe gone back and tried to find somebody else. We've already seen a huge amount of backlash against United. The stock price went down today. There are people who are boycotting the airline, saying that they'll never fly it. I think in terms of consumer goodwill, this is a terrible situation, and it's going to be hard to recover from this. I really think the CEO of United didn't handle this very well, and I think that he should fire the people who helped him write that memo. He really has been saying all the wrong things every step of the way. And, you know, the general public doesn't like to hear stuff like that. A simple apology from the CEO of United Airlines would have gone a huge way in this situation. Overbooking is an economic strategy for the airlines. At the end of the day, it helps keep the cost down because the airlines want to keep these planes running full. They don't want to be running without seats. So they have it all carefully calibrated to know how many seats that they need to overbook because of people who aren't going to show up for the flight. There's a very, very small percentage of seats that are bumped every year. If you look at the Department of Transportation statistics. So the airlines usually play it really well when it comes to overbooking. They will sell extra seats with the assumption that people aren't going to show up for the flight, and it usually works out. When you're flying these days, you really don't have a lot of options as a shopper. You're sort of beholden to the airlines if you're trying to get somewhere. The airlines also really set the rules. You can't mess around with the airlines. I think the problem we saw in this situation was that the passenger started, according to United, getting belligerent. You can't do that these days with the airlines. If you start swearing, screaming, the airlines can take you off the plane, they can kick you out of the airport, they can ban you from the airline altogether. The airlines really have a huge amount of leeway when it comes to passengers and what they will allow. So I think it's really important for passengers to be careful about how they react in a situation like this. What United did was within their rights. There are very specific laws that are put up by the Department of Transportation that you can look at online on transportation.gov that outline how much an airline needs to reimburse you depending on the delay when you're talking about an overbooking situation. So United offered money, the passengers didn't want to take it, and instead of going higher and higher, which is what Delta did, United decided to cap it and randomly select people to get off the plane.